Hi, Archie. How are you?
Good.
I want to share with you a website that I found. Okay, do you see this?
Yes.
Okay, this is called How to Regain Health in Minecraft. Regain means get it back again. So if you lose any part of your health, like if you get damaged or hurt, then your health gets hurt and you need to get it back. Health means, are we healthy? Okay, do we feel good? Do we have lots of energy? Can we do things? Okay, it's the opposite of being sick. So if someone gets hurt in Minecraft, they need to have a way of getting their health back. So I found this article because remember, sometimes you and I need to do a little research to learn a few things about Minecraft. And this says eating food is the easiest way, but potions work too. Potions sound a little bit like medicine. And it looks here in this picture from a Minecraft world like someone is growing a garden. Maybe they are growing food. So I'm just going to read a little bit from this article. It says, players will take damage, that means they will get hurt, from a number of things in Minecraft. To avoid dying, you will have to build it back up. The easiest way to do this is by eating food. Eating sweet berries or apples you find in forests will heal you, though not very much. Let's see. Once you have a house and a base set up, you will want to create a farm to grow wheat. Wheat can be crafted into bread, which is a useful and simple way to keep your health up. Wheat seeds can be found from smashing wild shrubs. In the real world, we grow wheat to make flour, and then we use flour to make bread. To farm, you will need to use a hoe, which can be made from 2 sticks and 2 planks, cobblestone, blackstone, or ingots. These would be in your inventory. On dirt or grass blocks to turn it into farmland. Plant your seeds on the farmland and it will yield produce. That would be the food, as well as more seeds. You will need water within 4 blocks of the crop horizontally, or else your crops will dry out. My goodness, there's a lot to learn. So this is showing someone's inventory, what they can use for crafting. You can also cook caught salmon and cod in the furnace to make cooked fish, which will also heal you. A fishing rod can be made using 3 sticks and 2 string. Keep in mind that eating food will make you regain your health, but it will happen over the span of a few seconds, not instantly. For instant health regeneration, that means to get your health back quickly and instantly, you will need to use a potion of healing. And then they explain how you can make that. One more thing I wanted to show you. So in Minecraft, there is something called a status bar. So here if you are in something called survival mode, the status bar will look kind of like this. You can see the hearts, and that tells you what your health is. You can see these drumsticks tell you what your food is. But what you really need to keep track of is how many hearts you have. Because if you get damaged, like if a creeper blows up, like what happened to Harper, then you could lose some of these hearts and then you need to get them back. And it looks like one of the ways to get them back is through eating. Okay, here we are in chapter 2. Remember, the last thing that happened was that Harper had saved the baby sea turtles, but it said that was her last thought before the creeper blew up. Kaboom. So here's chapter 2. We will look at the title of chapter 2 later. Let's get right into what happens because we want to find out what happened to Harper. Well, Poe saw it all happen as he raced across the beach. He saw the creeper step out from the trees. He watched as it exploded, knocking Harper all the way to the edge of the water. He wasn't fast enough to help her. He just couldn't reach her in time. He yelled. He said, "Harper!" He cried. "Harper, are you all right?" "Ouch," Harper said. "I actually felt that." She looked down at her blocky hands. How does that even work? Are the VR goggles interfacing with our nerves? This is a funny thing. Or do they just trick our brains into thinking we feel something? Because remember, with the VR goggles on, it should affect what you see, but they have talked about how they can feel the sand beneath their feet, right? And they can hear things and feel things and see things just like they're really there. So the experience feels real. Well, you were right yesterday when you said all she needs to do when the creeper exploded was just take her VR headset off and she would be fine. Because she didn't get hurt for real, just in the Minecraft world, which was virtual reality, not real reality. But she takes her headset off and she says, "Ouch, I actually felt that." But she must not have felt it too much because now she's thinking about it. And she's trying to figure out, how do these VR goggles work that would allow us to feel pain? Because the only part of our body for real that can feel pain are the nerves, this word right here, Nerves. The nerves are all connected. They connect all the different parts of our body to our brain, and they can tell our brain, "Ouch, that hurt." And she's like, how do these VR goggles work so that our nerves get involved? So she's trying to figure it out. She's very curious, kind of like how a scientist would ask a question and try to figure out how something works. And then Poe, he breathes a sigh of relief. When you breathe a sigh of relief, that's when you say, "Phew." And he goes, "Yeah, you're all right," he said with a smile. "If you are geeking out about the science of being blown up, you're obviously fine." Geeking out is a made-up word. We sometimes use the word geek kind of affectionately or teasingly for someone who's really interested in computers and science and things like that. Poe still suspected, that means he thinks secretly, those VR headsets were more magic than science. And I've wondered the same thing because I've never heard of virtual reality headsets, VR headsets, being able to make the experience so real that we can feel the sand beneath our feet or feel pain or something like that. This he is Poe. He knew better than to say that to Harper, however. She was the brains of the group. Okay, so she was super smart. When you say someone is the brains of the group, you are saying kind of that she is the smartest one of the 5 kids. Now, we have learned that Morgan knows the most about Minecraft, but if Harper is the brains, that just means she might not know the most about Minecraft, but maybe she's the smartest one with math or science, or at least that's what Poe thinks. Well, he says particularly when it came to science. So he tells us what he means by saying that she is the brains. He's talking about science. Now, this word particularly is a very long word. It also means especially or specifically. So here are the different parts of particularly. We can count the syllables. Particularly. 5 syllables. Particularly. It's really hard to say it. You want to try it? Particularly. You have to turn your microphone off.
Particularly.
Almost.
Isn't it?
You almost got it. Let me say it one more time. You got the
Particularly.
You got the first 3 syllables perfect. The last 2 are larly.
Particularly.
Yeah. Particularly.
Particularly.
Good, good. Particularly. That's a tricky word to say. That means when you want to be more specific. He doesn't want to say that she is just the brains of the group in general with everything. He wants to say with science, with that one thing. He wants to be specific. So he says, particularly when it came to science. When you're being specific, that's the opposite of being in general. So, for example, you could say, in general, or generally, I like books. But maybe you don't like all books. Maybe you like some specific books, like this book here, and this book here, and this book here, and this book here. Then you could be more specific and say, specifically, I like these books right here. But if you want to be just, oh, any book is fine, you could say, in general, or generally, I like books. And that kind of means all books. So when you say specifically, or particularly, or especially, then you're being more specific. She was also a whiz, that means very smart, at the crafting table. That's using your inventory in Minecraft to build things, where she made swords, tools, and more, all from memory. Do you remember when I just showed you that website and it was telling us how you could make things for growing gardens or food? And they said, if you want to make a fishing pole, you need to do this, this, and this. Or if you want to make a garden, you need to do this, this, and this. I think they have these formulas or recipes for how to make things in Minecraft. And it sounds like Harper knows a lot of these formulas or recipes by heart. She has memorized them. Morgan, Ash, and Jody ran up to them. Did you see how that creeper took out the drowned when it exploded? Morgan cheered. That was amazing. Remember, the drowned looks like this, the underwater zombie. So here's the zombie, and the underwater zombie is the drowned. And then Jody says, I think you mean scary. So we can see the italics. Those are the wavy, wiggly letters. And if it's just one word, then the author wants us to emphasize it by pulling it apart, saying it more slowly. Not louder, but more stretched out. I think you mean scary, Jody said. Harper, you went flying. You should eat more food, or you should eat some food, Harper, Ash said, to restore your health. We just looked at that on that website about how to get your health back in Minecraft. On the website, it used the word regain, regain. Restore and regain have a very similar meaning, to get it back, to make it better. At least she's in better shape than the forest, Poe said. So here this she is Harper. At least she, Harper, is in better shape than the forest, Poe said. Where the creeper had exploded, there was a crater in the ground and a big gap in the line of trees. Here is a crater. That looks like a pretty big hole in the ground, doesn't it? One thing that can cause a crater is if a meteor or meteorite comes down from space and hits the earth, it could make a big hole on the surface of the earth. That would be called a crater. Blocks of wood, sand, and soil floated there for the taking, along with rotten flesh. That's kind of disgusting. Flesh is your skin from the drowned. So the drowned had blown up along with the creeper. When the creeper exploded, the drowned also was wiped out. We should grab some of this stuff, he said. Now, who is he? Who's talking? That would be Poe. So Poe said, maybe we'll find a use for. Poe froze. He saw something in the distance. It was a massive, that means very, very, very big, wooden structure. Remember, a structure is a building. He could just, well, not necessarily a building. It could be a building, but it could also be something made out of wood. What else can be made out of wood besides a building? Well, we will find out. He could just barely make out the details in. Well, let's take a look at this page before we turn the page and finish that sentence. Here, we can see the crater in the ground. And he's looking over here and he sees this structure made out of wood. He could just barely make out the details in the moonlight. So there's not a lot of light. This is at night. They only have the light from the moon. But what he saw thrilled him. Thrilled means made him very excited. Do you guys see that? He asked. So he was busy talking about, gee, let's look and see what kind of stuff we can collect and put into our inventory and maybe we can use it later. And then all of a sudden he stopped talking because he noticed this big, huge structure made out of wood in the distance and his jaw dropped like, did you guys see that? What is it? Jody asked. Something awesome, Poe answered. Team, we just found a shipwreck. Dun, 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 dun. Here's an example of a shipwreck. So a shipwreck is when a ship gets broken, it sinks. It might go to the bottom of the ocean. It might not be discovered for hundreds of years, maybe never. If some scuba divers discover a shipwreck, they are very excited because it's really fun to go explore it and see what they can find. You can see there some dolphins have found this shipwreck in this picture. Oh, here, this is I recognize this picture now, right? This is a zombie, I think. These would be examples of hostile mobs. I can see right here, it says hostile mobs. And these were some of the hostile mobs that we looked at yesterday. So we knew that some included the creeper and the zombie. But there are more. Well, they approached. That approached means they went to it. They were going toward it. Cautiously. Cautiously is a word we've used with Jack in Jack and Annie stories. Cautiously means carefully. Why are they being careful? Well, the moon was getting lower in the sky, but night wasn't over yet. any number of hostile mobs might be lurking nearby. Lurking means they're kind of hanging out, maybe hidden a little bit. Lurking is not a word that makes me feel good. It makes me a little nervous. The ship was big. It looked as though it had been run aground. Now, run aground is this. So if a boat is in the water and it runs into the ground that you might not see, if you're up here on top of the water, you might not see that there's some ground right here. And if the boat goes over it and the ground is too high, the boat will get stuck. That's called being run aground. Here's another picture of a boat that got run aground. So that's what this is right here, run aground. Crashing into the beach. It showed signs of damage. Okay, so it was hurt, but it was still in one piece. Its masts rose high into the sky. Now we're going to learn 4 words about a boat. You might have learned these when you went sailing, but you might have learned them in Chinese. So now I will explain them in English. First, I'm going to show you the mast. All right. So here you can see a boat, and these tall poles right here are what we call the mast. Now, each of these have a different name, so you can be more specific about which mast, but those are.
I know how it's mast.
Okay, so here, this would be right here looking up at this mast.
Mast.
Mast. What do they use the mast for? I think for putting on the sails. Can we board it? Okay, when you're talking about a boat or an airplane, boarding means going onto it. Poe asked, I want to see what's in there. Morgan and Ash shared a look. Okay, if you share a look, that means you look at each other. You have 2 people that look at each other. They don't say anything at all, but they're kind of communicating just by their eyes. They can tell what each other is thinking. They don't have to say anything at all. They just look at each other and they're kind of talking back and forth, even though they're not saying anything. They're just using their eyes and they kind of know what each other is thinking. They cannot read each other's thoughts. They just know each other so well that they are, maybe asking each other, what do you think? Should we go on board? Should we not go on board? While they all loved Minecraft, Morgan and Ash knew the most about the game. So then Morgan asks Ash, what do you think? Morgan asked her. He was looking at Ash, and so when it says Morgan asked her, her would be Ash. So Morgan asked Ash. He says, I've never found a shipwreck before. Me neither, said Ash, but they're supposed to hold treasure chests. Well, now we have to check it out, Jody said. We have to check it out, Jody said. It's something they haven't done before, so they want to try it. They're curious. Harper quickly constructed a staircase out of dirt and stone. It would allow them to hop from the beach to the deck of the ship. The deck of the ship is the part that you can stand on. We could hack our way in, Harper said. Hack, there's 2 meanings of hack. One is a computer hack who can figure out a way to get into someone else's computer, even if he doesn't have the password. The other way, if you're hacking into a door that's locked, you'd need an axe, like a pickaxe, and you just break it down. But the ship looks so cool, I don't want to break it. She peered through a hole in the hull. Any more than it's already broken, I mean. because she saw that the hull had a hole in it, so it already is broken. Now, hull is the other word I wanted to show you. So when you're looking at a boat, this part here that goes into the water, this is called the hull. And different kinds of boats have different kinds of hulls. So you can see here are 4 examples. This one, this one, this one, and this one. Some hulls are flat on the bottom. Some are round on the bottom. Some have a deep V or a shallow V, and some are called a catamaran. These are different kinds of hulls that would be on the bottom of a boat. So that's this word right here, hull. They all gathered on the deck. Poe immediately pointed out the treasure chest at the front of the ship. He knew from reading nonfiction, okay, so things that are true, that the front of a ship was called the bow. It was spelled like a bow and arrow, but rhymed with now and wow. There's another chest at the stern, Jody said, pointing to the back of the ship. So if we look at a ship, which one do I want to show you? I'll show you this one. The bow of a ship would be right here at the front. This would be the bow. And the stern of the ship would be back here. This would be the stern. So the stern is the back and the bow is the front. There are other words like port and starboard that talk about the left and the right side, but we are not going to talk about those today. They split up to open the chests. There was a lot of useful stuff inside both chests. Carrots and potatoes, gunpowder and gemstones, and even a couple of pieces of enchanted leather armor. So I have a few pictures here. This is gunpowder. Here are some examples of gemstones. Do these look like something that people make, or that something you can find inside a mountain or in the ground, or? Oh, your microphone is on.
Something you can find inside a mountain.
Yeah, these are not things that people make. These are things that are part of the earth. And these would be some examples of armor that is made out of leather that would help keep a person safe. And here is a potato. And there are actually different kinds of potatoes. These are smaller potatoes. This one is a bigger potato. So then Poe says, not bad for a night's work, Poe said. And we're not done yet, Morgan said. Check it out. That means look at this. Morgan led them down a short staircase to the interior of the ship. There was one more treasure chest waiting to be opened. Poe, why don't you do the honors? Ash suggested, since you found the boat. That means, Poe, you can be the one to open the chest. Poe rubbed his blocky hands together like, woo, I can't wait. It was like Christmas morning, getting ready to open a gift. He approached the chest, opened it, and looked inside. He saw a faded map, all orange and yellow with a big red X. There were
the big red X in the prologue, right?
X marks the spot. There were also several bottles filled with a dark blue liquid. It's a treasure map, he said, excited, and some potions. We saw that word potions when we were looking at that website about how to regain your health. It said eating food definitely helps, but if you need to get your health back quickly and instantly, you would need a potion. So here we can see the treasure map, and here we can see the X. Those are potions of water breathing, Morgan said, and the map leads across the ocean. What do you think a potion of water breathing would let them do? If they took the potion of water breathing, what do you think they could do?
I know you can breathe underwater.
Ooh, wow. That looks like, and here you can see there's Morgan and Poe. I think this is Jody. And they're looking here at the treasure chest to see what's inside it. Well, I think that actually maybe we should put our star here. I thought we would finish chapter 2, but we looked at a lot of pictures today, so I will go ahead and put our star here. And then we can say,
Hello.
Cheddar Chip.
Bye.
Bye, Archie.